Jai Gurudev, good morning. So today is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 9, verse 29. Labdva sadurlabhamidam bahu sambhavate manuyam artadham anityam apihadhira turnam yatetana patet anu mrityu yavan Nishraya saya visaya kalu sarvata syat. Okay, so the meaning, after many births, one attains this rare human life, which although temporary, can grant the highest spiritual benefit. Therefore, an intelligent person should quickly strive for ultimate good before death arrives, since material pleasures are available in every form of life. So, actually, this verse kind of was inspired by a particular conversation I had with somebody over the weekend. And I thought, you know what, let's talk about this. So it was an individual whom I traveled with to Canada. Actually, I met her in Canada during the Radha temple inauguration. And she was saying to me, you know, there was an instance where she was making these cookies for Guruji in the house that we were staying with, and Guruji was also present. And she was making these cookies. She's a really good cook. And she was loving what she was doing, yeah. You could tell, you could feel it from her. And it so happened that Guruji really liked these cookies. He was like, wow, who made these cookies? They're amazing. And she was telling me over the weekend that her thought was, do you know why these cookies are amazing? Because Bhavani helped me. And I was like, what? That's crazy. I was like, no, you can't think that. And this is what I wanted to talk about. Your relationship with Guruji is your relationship. It's exclusive. It's between you and him. There's no middle person. And it's that which needs to become stronger. To have this conviction in your heart that your relationship is direct. It doesn't need anybody else to come in between. And I wanted to talk about this because over the years, and I'm thinking back, like a lot of people say, well, what were your experiences with Guruji? You've known him for so long. And I'm like, well, in all honesty, what he has taught me is to overcome the crap in my mind, the insecurity that keeps us away from him, the comparisons that we have with each other, and to get over yourself ultimately. Often people say to me, oh, you've known Guruji for so long, that's amazing. Yeah, in this life. But our relationship with Guruji goes beyond time. It goes beyond space. There is no time. There is no space. The relationship is between your Atma and him. He has known you before you even came onto this planet. One thing that has been troubling me, I wouldn't say troubling me, but has always been in the forefront of my mind is that we have such proximity to him. We are so incredibly fortunate that he has graced us with his presence. But over the years, I was beginning to feel a bit empty inside. And I was wondering, what is this? There's something, that spark, that something was kind of wavering up and down. So I so happened to be having a conversation with Pandita Bhavani, whom I had happened to be around her at a particular time. So myself and Bhavri were asking her questions based on the relationship with the Guru. And we were asking her, how is it with your relationship with your Guru? How do you develop that love for your Guru? And she said, one must just think constantly about him. Whatever he likes, you like. Whatever he does, no, don't do what Guruji said, please don't, okay? Because some people are going to start giving me that shit, no, don't, okay? But you begin to have a taste of what he likes. For example, now is the time for shabads. He's loving shabads. Initially, when I was hearing these shabads, I didn't gravitate towards it. It wasn't my initial pull. But then when you open up to it, there is such profound beauty. And everything that Guruji does is for our sake. She said, if he likes a particular music, go with it. If he likes to get up at a certain time. And I said, well, can I just tell you something? He only gets 2 hours of sleep. And I'm not doing that. I need my sleep. So the point is that when you're constantly thinking about him, that remembrance will begin to start to develop that devotion inside of us. Just very recently, again, this whole topic of Guru Bhakti was coming up inside of me. I was in Canada just last year, and I had the fortune of, again, being around Guruji physically for quite a period of time. Have dinner together, lunch, etc. It was nice. But I got to the point in the trip, and I was looking at Guruji and thinking, but why am I not, I'm in your presence, but why am I not longing? And this, for me, is what it's about. We have access. We have the tools available for us. We all have the Atma Kriya, the Japam, the name of the Lord. And he has recently given the commentary on the Guru Gita, right? And all of this is to develop this Guru Bhakti. Everything to be focused on his feet. There is nobody who is exempt from this. It doesn't matter how many years you have known Guruji. You may have known him for 2 years. You may have known him for 20 years. The opportunity is there for everyone. It doesn't matter what clothes you're wearing. Am I any different because I have this? No. It's all about your relationship internally. And you see this in so many examples. You see this in so many examples of the saints. Take, for example, Savathamali. He never once set foot in Pandapur, in the temple. He never saw the Vigraha. Yet his mind was so fully absorbed in Vittala that he began to see Vittala in the vegetables itself. He was living with Vittala. And above all that, he remained humble. So much so that he was used as an example to Saint Namdev and Saint Dhaneshwar to show that specialness, and you see this in Guruji, in your relationship with Guruji, if you begin to start thinking you're special, he will soon show you that you're not. Very, very, very gracefully, sometimes very sharply. Because nobody is more special to him Nobody is less special to him. And I'm saying this because time and time I hear little bits of conversation, and it's so important to address it, because if it's not addressed, it will become a disease in your relationship. And Guruji will trigger that in us. He will trigger all of these things inside of us to ensure that we would get over it. Just very recently, actually last year now, my sister had gone on, and a couple of other people close to me, had gone on a very exclusive trip with Guruji abroad. And I was like, yeah, so nice. Have a lovely time. Happy for you. Amazing. I'm cool. I'm not a person who likes to chase after Guruji. I've never been that. I mean, I have. Don't get me wrong. He's weeded that out. But in that time, I was, yeah, chill. Everything's cool. And they had landed in this place. And the first thing Guruji says to my sister, how's Bhavani? And I'm like, okay. She said, oh, she's fine. Is she all right that she's not here? Yeah, I think so, she said. And then she calls me up on the phone and she tells me this. And I'm like, oh, that's nice, but why do you... maybe I'm not okay. And then for the whole 10 days, I was like, do you know what? Maybe I'm not okay. Maybe I'm really sad. In fact, you know what? I'm sad. And you see how funny, it's so interesting to see how the mind works, right? Just how he triggered that. And I was like, Guruji, I was fine before you said anything, you know? So he shows you where you stand. He shows you where you stand, and he shows you how the mind functions. Because everything that we think in terms of distance, in terms of whatever it might be, oh, I'm so close, blah, 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 is all from the mind. And we know sincerely where we really do stand if we look at ourselves. His omnipresence, sometimes he might reveal it to you. Sometimes he might tell you. There was an instance that happened in 2008. We were on a trip in India. And so I so happened to be on a bus with Guruji, and Guruji was sitting directly behind me, and he was sitting next to Ravi, his cousin brother. Ravi's like a brother to me since I started Bhakti Marga. And so before this, I had somebody in my mind before this whole trip, and I was talking to Guruji in his picture, about this person I was worried about. And on that coach, when we were in India in 2008, he goes, you know, bro, Guruji says to Ravi, bro, she prays for this person. And she says this and that. And I was like, what? And then Ravi goes, sis, is it true? And I was like, what? Why are we talking about this? But obviously I didn't say that out loud. In my head, I was like, okay. And luckily it was with Ravi. But he was showing in that moment, he hears everything. He's showing in that moment that everything that you share with him, he's part of your life. That he knows your heart better than you do. And that's something to carry and cherish in your heart, because often we forget this in our moments of insecurity. We forget our relationship is dearer than anything. One instance happened last year, and it so happened that I was I had scheduled a rehearsal for the play that we were doing. And I was in the tent and we had all the people. It was 9:00 in the evening. And I get a message. So we were just about to start. In fact, we had actually started the rehearsal. Well, actually, we were about 10 minutes in. And the message was like, Guruji's calling you. And I'm looking at all these people and I'm going, I can't just say, sorry, it's cancelled now. Some people had traveled from Frankfurt. Some people had, really put in the effort to be there for that rehearsal. And I was just like dying inside. And a lot of the people in the rehearsal had also left to go to Guruji. And so I was sitting there and I thought, no, power through, do it, get it done, and just to see what happens. But my heart was just dying. I was like, oh my God. So I was sitting there, I was reading the narration and I was moved to tears, but mostly because I was thinking, I want to be there. But so anyhow, got through the rehearsal. I legged it up to the bungalow, knocked frantically on the door, and, ringing the doorbell, whatever it is. No one was opening. And I could feel my frustration rising, like, oh my God, I'm missing these moments. And eventually the door opens, and I go and see Guruji, and he says, your mind was there, but your heart was here. And again, in that moment, he is showing that he is inside of your heart. He knows exactly what you're going through. And it's the only real relationship that you will ever have, ever. Because no one else knows your heart. Can they tell you that? They can't. Only he can, because he lives in it. So, in summary, I'll close here. The time that we have with Guruji is very, very, very finite. We probably are not aware of it. And sometimes, often, we need that reminder. Govinda. We need each other to remind each other. And this is the beauty of Sangha. And I'll just relay one more experience that I had. I think it was probably 2006, maybe, I'm not sure, I can't remember. It was in the UK. And Guruji had gone to a devotee's house, Bhairavi's house actually, her old house in the UK, because she lived there. So I came after uni, I went to the house, and there were a few people. And what I found strange, compared to going to other events like this, where Guruji's gone to people's houses, was that the atmosphere was so silent. There was a silence in the room, and I entered the room, and I saw Guruji sitting on a sofa chair. And he was very quiet. Nobody was saying anything. So I went up to him, and I bowed down, and I thought, you know what, I don't think I will want to disturb him. So I started to walk back quite quickly. And then he said to me, why are you always running away? And I said, oh, in my humanness, I said, I don't really want to trouble you. And then he looked me in the eye and he said, "Prophet, whilst I'm here, I am not here for long." In that moment, I began to well up. My eyes started to tear up. And he then said, go and get me a plate of food. So he distracted me in that moment so I wouldn't go and just burst into tears. But the point is, the relationship that we have with Guruji is accessible now. There is nothing to chase because the relationship is now. It is present, it's tangible. So there is no room to go into insecurity. There is really no time to go into comparing. Because each one of us has a unique way of relating to him. And it's that which we need to hang on to. It's that which is your calling card. It's that which is your line. For some, it's cooking for him. For some, it's painting. For some, it's singing. For some, there are infinite ways that he has given each of you to relate to him. And so rather than comparing and contrasting and wondering why me, why her, there's nothing to compare because it's all there. So what do we have to do? Is just take it. There is one part excerpt from Guruji's tweet that I will end with. So on February the 10th, Guruji said, "The first thing we learn about from Lord Shiva is the divine relationship between the Satguru and the Bhaktas. This most pure divine relationship reveals itself fully only once in a million of lifetimes the Jivatma takes. The true Satguru is only one, and his appearance is the most rare of rare occurrences. And for the Bhakta to become a true Bhakta is also the most rare of rare occurrences." So may we all take the opportunity to go full in our relationship with Guruji. Jai Gurudev.